Hi everyone, welcome to Northern Zen Yoga. My name is Sandra, and today we're going to be looking at modifying yet another one of the balancing postures. And this one is called dancer pose. Balance postures are very critical for you to practice and to become somewhat proficient at, simply because you are training your body while you go through the practice of trying to balance in a balancing posture to react to correcting, trying to maintain balance. Now, why is this critical? Well, once we get especially into our senior years, but it can happen at any time, we can lose our balance and fall. The fall can result in a number of injuries, including concussion, might break a hand, a wrist, some bones in your legs or your arms. But most importantly, as we age, and particularly for women, is that we might break our hip. Breaking our hip is quite often the precursor of some serious health concerns after that fact. So we don't want to break our hip, we don't want to break anything. Actually, we want to instead work on having better balance. So here we have a chair. So I'm just going to flip this chair around. And you can use any object at home. You can use a good sturdy chair. You can use the back of your couch, depending on how you've got your room set up, or easy chair. You can use your table. You can use the countertop. What you're using is really not as important as the fact that whatever you're using should have a lot of stability to it. Leaning into it or putting your weight onto it should not cause it to fall over or to become unstable. So keep that in mind. So what is dancer pose? Well, briefly, dancer pose is a balancing posture involving standing on one leg, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our head onto the back of the chair, and we're going to pick up our foot, and we're going to try to grab it around either the toes or the ankles to bring the heel close to the bum. So we're bringing it in. Now this is the first challenge, and this challenge might be something you have to work on for some time. So what happens if you can't even reach your foot? What if you're not at that point yet? So here's where we're going to be bringing in the use of a strap. A strap can be used, a belt, a scarf, but not a scarf that would stretch quite a bit if you were to use it as something for leverage. Instead, you want something with some stability to it, something that won't overstretch, but is soft enough to be comfortable. So we're just going to hook this around the ankle. Going to grab the strap, and we're going to begin by keeping ourselves with our foot that's on the floor, plant it down, spread your toes out. Make sure you have a very grounded foot. Make sure your foot is feeling very flat down onto the floor, not rolling onto the side of your foot on either way. And maybe you're just going to work on that, just finding that foot plant, finding that balance with one foot slightly off the floor. Then you might be working on pulling that leg closer and closer toward your bottom. If you have knee issues, this could be a bit of a challenge just on its own, because you have to start to stretch the front of the legs here. Stretch these muscles that come down and attach to the knee joint before you can actually get your leg to fold in. A lot of times people think it's actually the knee joint that's the issue. It's not as much that as it is all the tendons, the muscles, and the fascia that is connected to the knee and wrapped around the knee that are the issue. So keep that in mind. This is going to maybe take some time. You're going to need to work on that. The other way you can do with your strap, if you have a strap belt that is similar to mine, where it has a loop through it, you can loop it through to create a closed loop. Slide it through. Bring your foot into it. Make sure it's wrapped around your ankle, nice and tight. Then you can bring the strap over your shoulder, and with this hand you're just going to be pulling the leg up and toward the bottom of your bottom, and then you're going to perhaps hold that for several breaths, deep breathing, breathing into your belly, inhaling and exhaling through the nose, and then slowly releasing it down. Give it a little break. Come back up again, hold it again for a few breaths, and then you're going to switch sides, of course. Always make sure that you spend equal time on each side of the body. That's very important for stability, for balance, and to make sure that you're not giving one side more time than the other side to have time to stretch. We also have a favorite side, so we don't want to over-favoritize it. We want to make sure that we're always working equally on both sides. So let's say you've got that part managed. You're able to, at the very least, grab either your pant leg, your shin bone, or even the bottom of your foot. So now you're going to start to practice just holding and letting go. One of the keys to balancing in any of the balance postures we do in yoga is, besides the foot plant, is to find a spot to stare at. Where you stare at should be just above your viewpoint. It should be not looking down. It should be more in the way of looking up, but not looking up so high that that's going to add an extra challenge in. And then we're going to start to bend forward. Once we have stability, we're going to find the next place where we feel unstable. We're going to breathe, stop there, start to push against our hand, and be mindful we're not lifting up the hip. We're trying to keep the knee pointed toward the ground. Push against your hand and at the same time pull toward your foot with your arm. Nice shoulder stretch here, and that might be the next challenge you have to deal with, is being able to reach back and stretch back the shoulder. So working on all of these little aspects very slowly. Then once you feel fairly stable, you're going to start to lift your hand up toward the sky and find your balance here. So we're going to switch around. I'm going to take the chair, I'm going to move it to the other side, just so I give my body equal time. I'm going to find my foot plant. For me, being on this surface, where there's a cushy carpet and mats on top of it, it adds its own challenge for me here, because this is really not a stable position for me to be balancing in. If you can work at all onto a hardwood floor, don't worry about the mat. Instead, make sure you're working on a very solid surface. This will immediately help with your balancing, being able to get that good foot plant down. So picking up the other foot, bringing it in first of all toward the body, and then starting to take that bend forward. I'm going to find my drishti point, and then I'm going to reach out. But as I said before, always working at coming into the place where you need to find your stability. So first it's here, just one-legged stance, just finding that one-legged stance, finding your balance here, using your surface as soon as you feel yourself going to drop out. Reach out, push against your foot into the floor, push against the foot in your hand, and breathe. And don't forget the breathing part, that's very important. So there you go. That is dancer pose using a chair for support for your balance. I hope this helps. Again, I'm Sandra, Northern Zen Yoga. Bye for now. See you next time.